News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. It seems that first new home is increasingly out of reach for a lot of Montrealers. Mortgage payments are high. They don't look like they're coming down. Realtors say in order to buy a house now in Montreal, people need a household income of at least $128,000 a year. Angela Mackenzie has more.
On the island of Montreal, housing prices remain high. Realtor Marc-André Martel says it can be tough for first-time homebuyers to get in the market.
The frustration stems from the fact that even though their buying power is diminishing, even though it's diminishing slightly, prices of properties haven't diminished yet. Like the median price for condos remain at 0% fluctuation so far for this year.
According to a report by mortgage brokerage firm RateHub.ca, you need at least $128,000 gross annual household salary to purchase a property in Montreal. That's a $650 difference from March to April, an extra $240 in mortgage payments per year. RateHub's data in this scenario is based on a 10% down payment with a 25-year amortization, $4,000 in annual property taxes, and $150 a month in heating costs. It also took the stress test and interest rates into account. In April, the average price of a home in Montreal was around $594,000. But housing prices aren't the only problem, says RateHub's Philippe Simard.
It's really related to the interest rate going up a little bit, because at the beginning of the year, we got a rate around 3.59, and now we are at the low 4.
Martel says first-time home buyers often put the minimum down payment and have little wiggle room.
They'll buy at the max amount. And so if the rate fluctuates by 0.5%, that might mean, $20,000 that they would have less to buy a property with.
And with so much uncertainty over the war in the Middle East, he says some buyers feel nervous about rates going up in the future. For some, looking outside of Montreal or buying a condo could make all the difference.
Sometimes it's just a mindset shift to not have all the boxes checked, but at least you get to buy a property and get into the market.
Meantime, out of the 12 Canadian cities studied, Montreal ranks 10th for affordability.
We are not that bad if we compare to Ottawa, Victoria.
A small silver lining for wannabe homeowners in Montreal. Angela Mackenzie, CTV News.
On St. Denis Street, the debate is over the merits of a car-free summer. For the past 4 summers, parts of the street were turned into pedestrian malls, festivals and terraces as well. But that's not the case this year. Laurence Brisson-Debreu reports.
Summer in Montreal usually means one thing on St. Denis Street, packed terraces. But this year they'll have to share the road with cars. At Lipsy, co-owner Jean-Yves Masse fears his terrace could take a hit.
I think that the tourists will go on this street instead of our street. It's really a problem for us.
Down the street, Pizzeria de Campari manager Francesco Scavella says customers have come to expect a car-free experience.
It's always been closed for 3 months straight, and I've always liked it for the terrace. It makes it more relaxing for customers. They don't hear cars or honking, or you know what I mean? It's a quiet street.
But not every merchant is against the plan. Some say keeping the street open will make deliveries easier. And for Victor Bocco of Café Gitana, it's a plus for his clients.
Most of my customers are more elderly, so they mostly come by car. So having the streets closed doesn't help out.
In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson for the mayor's cabinet says major construction around Berry-UQAM Metro makes it necessary to keep an emergency corridor open, adding that Saint-Denis is a direct route for ambulances transporting patients to the CHUM. Still, some summer events are moving ahead. The borough's Merchants Association will keep funding normally used for pedestrianization, meaning festivals and performances will still take over parts of the street.
Now they'll be performing either on terraces, either on the sidewalk.
Julien Vaillancourt La Liberté leads the SDC Quartier Latin. He says he understands the city's reasoning, but believes better coordination could have avoided some last-minute frustration.
The communication and collaboration between the city, between STM and between the borough wasn't exactly perfect. Every week there was something different.
While Saint-Denis and Castelnau won't go car-free this summer, there are still 7 streets closed to traffic. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
Quebec has plans to increase the number of mobile photo radar devices. Now, Caroline, there are calls for more photo radars around schools and work zones.
That's right. The province already has 52 photo radars, 30 fixed and 22 mobile devices that are used in different places to control speed. And today, the Transport Ministry announced it will add 66 new mobile photo radars to control speed in and around school zones and roadwork zones. Now, it comes after the ministry reached a deal with Garda World and Idemia Road Safety France to deliver the new detection systems between now and 2028. The contract is for $43 million, and the amount covers not only the purchase but also their maintenance for a decade. And the aim is to put them into place gradually over the next 2 years and see where they can be the most effective.
And I know some people would like to have them everywhere. However, let's not forget, they're not a panacea. They're not going to fix all the problems. They're there as a complementary tool to put in areas where it could be hard to do, traditional radar, or where there could be a lot of collisions. And the list of criterias, year after year, you have to look it over. Let's say you deploy 66 of them this year. And after a year or 2 years, you look at the statistics, and the accidents haven't gone down or the speed hasn't gone down. That means that it was not put in the proper place.
Now, Quebec began using photo radar back in 2009, and between 2020 and 2024, the radars captured 60,000 speeders near Quebec schools, netting $14.2 million in tickets. That money goes to help road victims through the Road Safety Fund, and the plan is to gradually have 250 photo radars across the province. Mitsumi.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Well, yesterday, the Premier announced she was offering tax relief to Quebecers. Today, the opposition party said she's just trying to buy votes. Here's Matt Grillo.
Just one day after announcing several measures to help with the cost of living, the Premier was already on the defensive. I won't apologize for helping Quebecers, Fréchette said. On Tuesday, opposition parties criticized the Premier, accusing her of buying votes.
It's directly tied to the desire of Christine Fréchette to be re-elected. As simple as that. There is no other way to look at this.
Fréchette announced the removal of the Quebec sales tax on certain food and hygiene products, a measure that will save an average couple with 2 children about $50 a year. Reduced car registration fees will save another $50, and a one-time payment of $100 or $200 will be made to low and middle-income earners.
It's not enough. It's electoral gifts that Madame Christine Fréchette is doing, and it's costing a lot of money for the public finance.
The CAQ says it's a responsible move because it puts money in people's pockets.
I think it's very important to put the money where the needs are. It's more important to help the people that are facing this increasing of the cost of living instead of taking that money for a referendum.
Quebec Solidaire says more should be done to help tenants.
They are receiving now from the measure of Christine Fréchette maybe $50 or $100 per year. It's nothing when they are receiving a very big increase of their rent.
The Premier also confirmed in French media that an investigation is underway to figure out how an email from her finance minister was leaked. In the email, Éric Girard expressed concern over Fréchette's spending.
Obviously, it's a sign that something is not well within the CAQ.
C'est quoi ça?
Ça? C'est du changement.
The PQ took out this advertisement saying the CAQ hasn't changed despite having a new leader.
Ce gouvernement Legault-Fréchette a bel et bien un bilan de gaspillage des fonds publics.
PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon says the CAQ has a track record of wasteful spending. And with just 3 weeks left in the parliamentary session, it's clear political parties are prepared for what could be an intense and tight fall election. Matt Grillo, CTV News, Quebec City.
Montreal's population is aging. It's also shrinking. The Montreal metropolitan community says the falling rate in the birth and cuts to immigration means the city and surrounding areas could lose more than 1% of the population over the next 15 years. And that, they also say, means fewer working adults. Officials say that will make it difficult to pay for the services that will be needed by an older population. There are more warnings about Quebec's plan to extend Bill 101 to cover adult education. The Quebec English School Boards Association says it's going to hurt the economy. The Quebec government wants to prevent people without English eligibility certificates from attending English vocational schools or adult education. That would affect about 27,000 people. Joe Ortona says the French school system doesn't have the capacity to take in all those new students.
Well, we've been very clear from the time that this was first mentioned. It's just bad economic policy. People who come to Quebec, they want to learn French and they want to learn a trade and they want to enter the workforce. And if there's a holdup and a backlog with the francisation classes, well, we still want them to be contributing members of society and learn a trade and enter the workforce. And they have all the time to master French. With a backlog in that, because the French service centers wouldn't have the manpower to be able to take in all of these new applicants and process the paperwork, what we're doing is essentially just holding them from entering a workforce in areas that are desperately needed.
And we have more details on this on our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Well, the Victoire were at Montreal City Hall this morning to sign the Golden Book. The mayors of Montreal and Laval were there to welcome the team. And the coach and the captain of the team thanked everyone who supported them.
We're so very proud as a team to be able to share that with you, to be able to tell you that our story ended up in triumph. And a championship team is never remembered just for the win. It's remembered by the people who were able to achieve something together as a collective and as a group. And I couldn't be more proud to stand up here and share this extremely important team that we've had all year as a group. They did it for each other, and they did it for the city of Montreal.
To be standing here to represent our team is truly an honor. It's a privilege. We worked so hard all year to be able to bring that Walter Cup, and we did it. We did it for ourselves, we did it for the city, we did it for the whole country, but we're truly proud to be able to share that with you, and for that, on Saturday, we'll be able to bring it together.
And there will be a parade and celebrations at Place des Spectacles this Saturday. At Place des Spectacles, it'll start at 11 o'clock, and everyone is welcome. Well, the Habs lost last night. They're now behind 2-1 in their series against the Hurricanes. Today, coach Martin Saint-Louis said it's the first time the team's been down since their playoff run started, and that Game 4 will be a test for the team.
We have all the tools. We can play in possession. We can go forecheck. And sometimes can you see clearly through that chaos of this environment and where we are in the playoffs. And, I think that comes with maturity, and I think we're going to have to, and we've shown great maturity throughout the season. We're playing a very mature team. I don't know if we can match that maturity, but I think we need to elevate ours a little bit because I feel we have all the tools.
The Habs play the Hurricanes again tomorrow night at the Bell Centre. Well, this week in Montreal, it is a competition of the best and the brightest. They all play violin. They've come from around the world to make music. Christine Long has more.
24 of the best violinists aged 17 to 31, hailing from 17 countries. The Concours Musical International de Montréal is one of the most prestigious competitions in the world, says artistic director Shira Gilbert.
We had applications from 250 violinists from 37 countries. We had an online jury that selected the 24.
One of those 24 is Lorenz Karl from Vienna, who plays a very rare instrument.
Quite a world sensation because the wood, the back of the violin consists of wood from New Zealand. It's called kauri wood, their national wood. And this one is supposed to be 30,000 to 50,000 years old.
A very promising talent from South Korea, Hyun Jae Lim, stopped playing after a car accident. She's back on the international stage after a 4-year recovery.
I actually had given up the violin because I never thought I could, play again. But then I think time also helped me, and a lot of encouragement from friends and mentors.
This competition is brisk. Over 1 week, each will play a recital, then 10 are selected for longer programs.
We get to meet them all and then see them launch into the world and pursue their careers.
Prizes and grants worth over $150,000 are available. Yet, Justin Saulnier isn't nervous.
The competition is very individual. I think everyone agrees and knows that it's all about the preparation, and then the prize is just the cherry on top.
During the grand finale, artists will join the Montreal Symphony Orchestra on stage.
Major works for violin and orchestra, always very exciting, passionate, virtuosic.
The public is invited to watch and listen to the performances at Bourgie Hall, downtown next to the Museum of Fine Arts, until June 4th.
You still need to play good violin.
Christine Long, CTV News.
And coming up, unsuspecting travelers accused of drug trafficking.
They opened up the bag. It was stuffed full of drugs.
There are calls to do something about the security gaps at Canadian airports. And Donald Trump says he is in excellent health after another medical checkup. Despite a ceasefire and talk of a deal with Iran, the U.S. launched a new airstrike overnight. They targeted missile sites and boats in southern Iran. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz remains closed.
Well, the straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unsustainable for the world, it's unacceptable.
The airstrikes came just after Donald Trump claimed a peace agreement was near. Iran, for its part, says it downed a U.S. drone and fired at a fighter jet, saying it has the right to retaliate against American ceasefire violations. And there are reports at least 12 people died in airstrikes overnight in Lebanon. Israel says it is intensifying its assault on Hezbollah militants. A ceasefire is in place, but Israel claims Hezbollah broke it. Donald Trump underwent what's being called routine medical appointments today. They come as a recent poll shows more than half of Americans don't think Trump's health is good enough for him to carry out the job of president. Christian Cordero has more from Washington.
With less than 3 weeks before his 80th birthday, today President Trump visiting Walter Reed Medical Center for what the White House calls part of his regular preventative health care. This is the president's fourth disclosed medical appointment since his return to office. He was the oldest president elected and says he's in good health.
I'm one of the young ones, you know. I'm a similar age to all of you. Very similar. I feel the same as them. I actually feel, for sure. You know, I don't know what this is. I feel the same as I did 50 years ago. Yeah. It's crazy.
While the White House is calling today routine annual dental and medical assessments, this is the president's third dentist appointment in 5 months. In a statement today, a White House spokesperson tells ABC News President Trump remains in excellent health. Trump often touts the cognitive tests he's taken while in office, saying he's aced each of them, and steers focus to President Biden, who inevitably dropped out of the 2024 presidential race amid criticism of his mental acuity. A Washington Post ABC News Ipsos poll from last month found less than half of American adults think the president has the physical health or mental sharpness to serve as president. He has been seen with bruising on his hand, which the White House says is because of frequent handshaking while taking aspirin. Trump has also appeared to fall asleep during meetings, which the White House denies. And in July, the administration released a letter from the president's physician saying he had chronic venous insufficiency, a common condition in adults over 70 that can lead to swelling in the legs.
Essentially, this is a problem with the blood vessels, more specifically a problem with the veins that are in charge of returning blood back to the heart.
Presidents aren't required to make their health records public, and they ultimately get to decide what they share or don't. Christian Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
The findings of a recent W5 investigation came up in the House of Commons today. The investigation found serious security gaps at Canada's major airports that allowed illegal drugs into the country. Graham Richardson has more.
It is a chilling organized scheme uncovered by CTV's W5.
They opened up the bag. It was stuffed full of drugs.
Tags switched on checked bags, unwitting Canadians' luggage tags used to carry drugs in different bags, smuggled into the airport by corrupt employees.
You're all being detained for transporting narcotics.
The W5 investigation raised in the House of Commons Monday by the opposition.
I walk out through the terminal doors, nobody checks you. That's from a W5 investigation exposing organized crime using travelers' baggage to traffic drugs through Pearson Airport. Given the Transport Minister's silence on this brazen security failure, if the Liberals won't be taking this seriously now, why would Canadians believe they ever will with our security?
At least 6 arrests related to luggage tag swapping have been made by the RCMP. We continue to invest in law enforcement, Mr. Speaker.
This story has gone viral nationally and internationally, not only because of how many cases W5 uncovered, 17, but also because of the simple questions it raised. As passengers take off their shoes and belts and hand over water bottles at security, why aren't employees scrutinized?
We joke you could walk out carrying a cruise missile, end quote.
And it's not just Canada. These women from Brazil detained in Germany for over a month. Their bags were switched and caught on camera. They were blamed for carrying drugs. This video eventually freed them. One of the most challenging parts about this is how vulnerable passengers are when they check their bags. Because of this investigation, many of them will now look much more closely when they arrive. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, trying to solve a cold case.
There is no greater indignity in death than to not even have that death acknowledged. She needs a name.
But now new clues that might be based on what was found on her sweater. And the Ebola outbreak, Canada has just imposed new travel restrictions. The head of the WHO says the Ebola in Central Africa is spreading quickly. It's believed at least 220 people have already died. Today, Ottawa announced that travelers from the region will be required to self-isolate for 21 days. Also, immigration applications from Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Uganda will be suspended. So now the question, what did the world learn from COVID? Dr. Donald Vinn is an infectious disease specialist at the MUHC. Hi, Don.
Hi, Jimmy.
Okay, so first off, Don, Ebola, why do we always see it coming out of the same region in Africa? Where does it come from? How is it transmitted?
Yeah, so Ebola is associated with Central and East Africa because the virus circulates in wildlife reservoirs, especially bats, in those regions. Then outbreaks can then begin when humans come into contact with infected animals through hunting, deforestation, or expansion into forested areas. What makes places like the DRC especially vulnerable is that these ecological risks overlap with social instability like poverty, conflict, and weak access to healthcare. You can imagine when someone becomes sick far from a clinic or can't afford care, they're treated at home or in under-resourced facilities. But once Ebola enters the human population, it spreads through direct contact with bodily fluids of someone who's already sick, or through their contaminated materials, or through burial practices. It isn't like COVID or measles. It does not spread easily through casual airborne contact, but it can spread very efficiently in households and under-resourced healthcare settings.
Okay, so how concerned should we be about it spreading out of Africa? I mean, there's air travel, international events such as the World Cup.
Yeah, we should be concerned, but not alarmed. Air travel does mean an infected traveler could carry the virus across borders, but Ebola is harder to spread internationally than respiratory viruses like COVID or flu. People with Ebola are generally not contagious before symptoms develop. Once symptoms begin, they can transmit the virus, but the illness usually progresses quite rapidly, going from fever, fatigue, and muscle aches to nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and sometimes bleeding. So at that point, transmission typically requires contact with the bodily fluids from someone who's visibly ill. And in reality, most people with contagious Ebola are far too sick, far too quickly to be attending sporting or social events. So the greatest risk really is not casual contact at a stadium or airport, but close contact in households or healthcare settings.
So just this afternoon, Canada restricted travel. The U.S. has banned travel outright from Central Africa. What does this tell you? I mean, should we be worried? Is this the best form of containment?
Yeah, so let's make a distinction here. The U.S. has adopted a restrictive strategy. They're restricting entry for non-U.S. citizens from the DRC, Uganda, and South Sudan. They're also issuing advisories against travel to those areas, and they're screening and monitoring Americans returning from those countries. So their goal is to reduce the risk of imported cases by siloing themselves. Canada has a more proportional public health approach. Authorities are focusing on traveler awareness, airport screening, symptom monitoring for 21 days after travel, rapid isolation of suspected cases with contact tracing, and strong hospital preparedness to manage any imported cases. And as you mentioned, they're also pausing immigration processing from affected areas. So is the border restriction approach really necessary? But it can be useful temporarily to buy time. But historically, preventing entry of non-U.S. citizens from outbreak regions while still allowing U.S. citizens to return often has little impact. And scientifically, the evidence supports Canada's strategy.
Now, we're far from calling Ebola a pandemic, but should there be another pandemic, are we ready? I mean, what did we learn, if anything, from COVID?
So this Ebola virus outbreak is nowhere near a pandemic at this point. You know, COVID taught us the importance of strong health surveillance systems, hospital surge capacity, and that when the world invests collectively in science and research, rapid development of vaccines and antivirals are possible. But at the same time, this Ebola outbreak, along with that of the Andes hantavirus and Mpox outbreaks, highlights where the world remains vulnerable. Frontline health systems are under-resourced, healthcare workers are overstretched, and global attention to preparedness often fades once a crisis passes. So yes, we learned a lot from COVID, but the real lesson is this: outbreaks are inevitable, being unprepared is not, and scrambling during an emergency should never be our plan A.
And finally, Don, what should the world medical community be doing now?
Right now, the local healthcare workers and public health personnel on the ground are trying to hold the line. Strengthening their capacities must be our priority. The UN and WHO are calling for urgent funding, medical supplies, protective equipment for healthcare workers, and operational support for local response teams. Using the COVID term, those frontline personnel are our guardian angels, but they don't need praise. They need partners and practical support.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, Don.
Thank you, Mitsui.
There is word today that former Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault will resign as MP over the Carney government's climate policies. It's expected he will tell the Liberal caucus about his decision tomorrow. Mike Loucouture reports.
Prime Minister, Mr. Guilbeault, has he told you about his future, sir?
Prime Minister Mark Carney sidestepped questions about his former minister, who will soon become his former MP. After nearly 7 years on Parliament Hill, Stephen Guilbeault confirmed to CTV News that he is quitting politics. He's expected to make it official at the Liberal caucus meeting on Wednesday.
I really appreciate his work, his advocacy, and I'm fully respectful of his decision.
Now, last year, Guilbeault resigned from cabinet after the federal government inked a memorandum of understanding with Alberta with a plan to build a new pipeline. The further rolling back of Trudeau-era environmental policies was seemingly the breaking point.
I'm a good friend of Stephen.
Industry Minister Melanie Joly says past policies on climate change weren't perfect.
We've seen the good impacts of that policy, but we've seen also the downfalls. And we need to be able to do both. We need to make sure that we bring Albertans on board.
Guilbeault's departure comes as more than a dozen Liberal MPs wrote to the Prime Minister last month, expressing concerns over policy changes like the new industrial carbon price in Alberta.
I believe many others are questioning themselves, and they should stand up and leave that party if they do believe the environment is important.
Are you talking about losing a majority over environmental policies and some resignations?
No.
The leader of the Green Party worries the Prime Minister has changed.
I don't find that there's anything left, whatever it was that I thought Mark Carney cared about relating to the climate crisis. I no longer find any traces of it in his policies.
Liberal Nate Erskine-Smith is also stepping down, while Jonathan Wilkinson has been appointed as the ambassador to the EU. The three departures will eventually trigger more by-elections, which could affect the Liberals' thin majority. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Weather brought to you by Gratianscaf's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, the blue skies and sunshine really made it feel like summer in Montreal today.
Meanwhile, this evening, Quebec City is dealing with potentially some active weather, which has Environment and Climate Change Canada issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. There could be strong winds, hail, and heavy rain this evening and overnight. So if you're listening to us or watching us from that area, just something to consider. If you can possibly stay indoors, it's probably best. In Montreal overnight, we do have a 30% chance of showers. Let's put our future forecast in motion now and see when we could be dealing with that. So at this time, we can see there is a spotty system just north of Montreal and a few clouds moving in, which we will be dealing with overnight, partly cloudy skies. And it looks like around midnight until 4 a.m. is when we do have showers in the vicinity. Now, if we're looking at this futurecast, it looks like it's just east of Montreal. So once again, this is probably why it's only 30% chance. Now that system pushes eastwards, impacting Quebec City, and we'll see partly cloudy skies overnight. Into the early morning hours, we do start the day off with mostly sunny skies, and into the afternoon, we do see a few clouds move in, calling for a mix of sun and clouds, which we hold on into the evening. Then we deal with more cloud coverage as we head into our Thursday, where that will be our weather story. So we will be dealing with cloudy skies on Thursday, not seeing much sunshine, at least at this time. That's what it looks like. On top of all this, tonight we are seeing warmer than seasonal overnight lows, 16 degrees. So not a bad idea to have maybe even that air conditioner going, a light fan, and could make for more comfortable sleeping conditions. And a reminder, only a 30% chance of some showers in the early morning hours. We do start off with sunshine, a wake-up temperature of 17 degrees, and another warm day, 23 degrees, feeling like 26. Not as bad as it was in terms of humidity today. Our longer range forecast shows a little bit of a temperature fluctuation. We can see that on Thursday, cloudy skies and 19 degrees, so below seasonal. We continue to see those temperatures go down on Friday, 17 degrees there, along with 8 millimeters of rain in the afternoon. Saturday, we could see a passing shower in the morning, only 1 millimeter of rain, along with 16 degrees if you're headed out to cheer on the Victoire. Bring a raincoat. And the rest of the weekend shaping up nicely. We see those temperatures continue to climb to seasonal. Monday will be sunny and 21, and on Tuesday, 24 degrees and a mix of sun and clouds.
There was record-breaking heat in Europe and the UK again today. It was 35 degrees in London, breaking a record that was set the day before. And France hit a record 36 degrees. The National Weather Service says a heat dome is producing temperatures more than 10 degrees above normal. In southern Spain, the temperature is 38 degrees and could see 40 later this week. And 3 Canadians played their first round matches at Roland Garros today.
That'll do it.
19-year-old Victoria Mboko made it through in straight sets over Czech player Nikola Bartunkova. On the men's side, Denis Shapovalov was out in the first round. He lost straight sets to Jamie Faria of Portugal. Felix Auger-Aliassime battled for more than 4 hours to beat Germany's Daniel Altmaier in 5th set tiebreak. NASA says it is committed to building a permanent settlement on the moon. And today, a $20 billion plan to do that was unveiled at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Rena Roy has more.
America may eventually have its very own home base on the surface of the moon.
We are creating a future where exploration is not just an incredible moment in history, but the first foothold beyond Earth for all of humanity.
An update to the $20 billion project shared by NASA today will help send the building blocks of the base to the moon every 6 months, with the hope of developing a long-term settlement where people can live and work.
We envision the moon base to be hundreds of square miles with different assets, all building up to the objective of permanent lunar presence.
NASA estimates that the plan will take place over the next 7 years in 3 phases. First, NASA and its partners will regularly send rovers and technology to test things like mobility, power, and comms. Then the work will begin on building semi-habitable areas for astronauts so that they can start to operate on the moon's surface consistently. Finally, larger habitats and vehicles will be delivered for a permanent setup. That historic Artemis II mission around the moon in April was the first manned mission since the 1970s and helped test key technology necessary for the years-long effort.
With Moonbase, Artemis astronauts will stay longer, explore farther, and conduct the kinds of science that advances exploration itself.
Now, the next crewed Artemis mission is scheduled for next year with the goal of landing humans on the moon by 2028. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And coming up, a hill and a wheel of cheese.
Any injuries? I'm perfectly fine. I'm just very hot in this suit.
It is the annual Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling and Wake.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca. Your home for news. Your Health, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Firefighters have a higher risk for cancer than the general population. Quebec already recognizes certain kinds of cancer as an occupational hazard. The widow of one firefighter in New Brunswick is calling on her province to do the same. Here's Laura Brown.
Firefighting brought them together. A Miss Fredericton pageant where the city's firefighters were asked to escort the contestants.
We kind of both knew that we wanted to stick together.
Ken Jenkins had 4 loves of his life: his wife Joni, their 2 boys, and firefighting. His career spanned 30-some years. His battle with cancer, 7 months.
I did say once, the career Ken loved is going to kill him.
Ken Jenkins died at 63 from a brain tumor known as a glioblastoma. It's assumed his time as a firefighter is what caused the cancer, which is why his passing is recognized as a line-of-duty death.
It wasn't until we did a deep dive on it that we realized what the beast we were facing.
Cancer is killing our firefighters.
A firefighter for 25 years and counting, Barry Durling feels it's only a matter of time before he's diagnosed. Firefighters have a 9% higher risk of cancer than the general public and is 14% more likely of dying from it. In the last decade, 31 New Brunswick firefighters have died in the line of duty. 29 were due to cancer.
Our turnout gear is laced with forever chemicals, PFAS, and they're absorbing through our skin when we sweat and getting into our bloodstream, causing cancer.
The Fredericton Department has committed to buying its 120 members chemical-free gear by next year. But Durling feels New Brunswick needs to recognize more cancers as occupational illnesses. Right now, the province lists 10. In Nova Scotia, it's 20. Joni is hoping for that change so more families get to see their heroes live longer. She says Ken's kindness and service is now his legacy.
Right about now, I think the world needs a little more of that.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
A new report suggests that burnout is leading to major losses in productivity in Canada. The report by Manulife says fatigue, stress and burnout are affecting employees' ability to work and says burnout is responsible for a loss in productivity that's equivalent to 46 working days per employee every year. Also, nearly 6 out of 10 workers said that mental health challenges affect their ability to do their jobs.
Business News brought to you by Au Vieux de Louvre, where memories and meals come together.
Canadians hold more debt now than they did last year. Morella Fernandez has more on that.
Equifax puts total consumer debt at about $2.7 trillion, and that is up almost 4% from last year. Insolvencies are up almost 19% in the first quarter of the year compared to the same quarter in 2025. They are at a level not seen since 2009. But there are some positive trends. Fewer new credit cards are being printed, a sign consumers are spending less and saving more. And the number of Canadians missing at least one credit payment is stable at 1 in every 21 consumers. Space stocks are hitching a ride on the coming IPO of SpaceX. Investors hyped about Elon Musk's company going public, which is expected to happen in June. Today, space and satellite stocks soared, with Canadian satellite and robotics firm MDA Space gaining almost 5%. Bombardier stock spiked early in the day after the private jet maker announced it's selling jets to Australia. They'll be used to patrol the country's border. The selling price for the 3 Global 6500s hasn't been shared. Bombardier has been working to grow its defense business. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.40. West Texas Intermediate is down to 93.89. Western Canadian Select is unchanged at 78.22, and the TSX lost 177 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
A kayaker who died in Vancouver 4 years ago has never been identified. But now police believe they have a break that they've been searching for. Penny Daphlos reports.
This is an artist's renderings of an unknown woman who died hours after being pulled from the waters off of Vancouver Beach in 2022, an inflatable kayak nearby.
There is no greater indignity in death than to not even have that death acknowledged. She needs a name.
After scrutinizing the woman's insulin and other scant belongings, they were out of leads until the VPD heard about a specialized lab in Chicago.
From advanced chemical analysis to nuclear forensics and even the study of pollen.
Those scientists at U.S. Customs and Border Patrol made a surprising discovery after analyzing a sweater in the kayaker's backpack.
The sweater itself had been exposed to an environment in the Pacific Northwest, somewhere between Portland and Seattle.
And no local pollen or fern spores, suggesting she may not have been in Vancouver for long.
We noticed what could potentially be a body in the water.
The VPD produced this video, which they'll share at an upcoming press conference in Seattle.
Every time I go through there, it's still a sad feeling. I wonder what happened to the poor girl.
It may sound far-fetched for pollen to solve a case, but forensic palynology helped identify baby doe in Boston several years ago.
No justice on earth fixes that grief.
And Bellabon's killers are now in prison. The VPD don't believe the kayaker's death involved criminality, and the theory she was a human trafficking victim has largely fizzled out.
The autopsy actually has cause of death as undetermined, but she did not drown. So there was some evidence of anaphylaxis. So we're thinking maybe a medical event.
Without any matching missing persons report, the mystery remains. Who was she?
Maybe she didn't want to be found, but there's somebody out there that's missing her. And we owe it to that family to help identify her.
With so many unusual elements to this case, what investigators are really hoping for is for the story to go viral, because all it takes is the right person watching to help close this case. Penny Daphlos, CTV News, Vancouver.
There are changes coming to the Anti-Radicalization Office. Caroline, it is rebranding.
That's right. On the occasion of its 10th anniversary, the Center for the Prevention of Radicalization Leading to Violence is being renamed Ville Sans Violence. Now, the center is the first of its kind. It was founded in 2015 and says it carries out 1,200 interventions online and in person across Quebec each year. They say the new name will better reflect its mission to be more human-centered and accessible to all. And we will have reaction to federal Liberal MP Stephen Guilbeault's decision to step down at the end of the summer. We'll speak to people in his downtown Montreal riding of Laurier-Saint-Marie tonight, and we'll have that for you at 11:30. It's Sui.
Thanks very much, Caroline.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
It is an annual competition that involves a grassy hill and a wheel of cheese, some very strong cheese, and a hill that is incredibly steep. Here's Danny New.
On Monday, travelers from all over the world once again tumbled down a famous British hill in the name of cheese. Doesn't that look fun? For the record, this once-a-year tradition goes back hundreds of years, with people gathering at notoriously steep Cooper's Hill in Gloucestershire to compete for a wheel of double Gloucester cheese. But did they have a guy in a Spider-Man costume 200 years ago, or a man in that? Actually, the biggest difference this time was probably the weather. With temperatures around 95 degrees Fahrenheit, this year's race happened to fall on the hottest May day on record in UK history.
Any injuries? I'm perfectly fine. I'm just very hot in this suit.
Well, the extra insulation did not stop German YouTuber Tom Kopka from winning for the third straight year. You can see him come from behind here to defeat Cooper's Hill legend Chris Anderson, who has a Guinness World Record 23 cheese wheel wins.
I just remember seeing Chris Anderson in front of me. I was like, I need to go faster, and then I sent it the rest of the hill down.
And hey, it seems like, despite the heat, the 7-pound cheese wheel managed to hold off from turning into fondue. Meanwhile, in the women's races, we saw a wide range of protective gear, from this woman who appears to be wearing bubble wrap to this contestant who wore a leaf on her head. However, the craftiest idea may have come from the winner, whom you see here rolling down the hill in a mouse onesie.
Celebrate, yes, lovely.
Okay. So we could get some rain overnight.
That's right, Mitsumi. So there is a 30% chance of some showers. It would be between midnight and 4 a.m. That system does look like it's sitting east of Montreal, so we should be in the clear, but something to consider if you have plans to be out during those early morning hours. In addition to that, we do see partly cloudy skies, a low of 16. It's going to be on the warmer side overnight. Sunshine to start, a few clouds moving in the afternoon, a high of 23, feeling like 26.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.